Charlie Kirk's the founder and CEO of Turning Point USA and the author of the new book, The College Scam. So, Charlie, do you accept the View's apology?
I mean, regardless of whether or not I accept it, the question is, do our students accept it? That's really what's at heart here. They went after our 5,000 students at our event there of high school and college kids. And look, I get attacked all the time. People say false things. I'm a public figure. But when you go after 16 and 17-year-olds that travel from across the country that then have to live for the rest of their life with a shadow over them because someone at ABC says that they might be linked to neo.
Sunny Hostin had a complete on-air meltdown when Charlie Kirk hit her with an insult so sharp. Even the View audience didn't know whether to clap or call for help. Her arguments collapsed instantly, while Kirk steamrolled through the segment, leaving her visibly rattled and scrambling for words. It wasn't a debate, it was a broadcast beatdown. There are TV slip-ups, and then there's Hostin's latest disaster. A live implosion so chaotic it deserves its own documentary. Unscripted, awkward, and painfully unforgettable, it belongs in the Talk Show Fails Hall of Fame. Charlie Kirk unleashed a brutal takedown of Sunny Hostin in a slick, overproduced video that felt more like a hit.
Gross elitism and her complete out-of-touch nature with respect to the rest of the world. Sunny Hostin goes on The View and decides now would be a great time to dump all over the so-called uneducated.
What we did not have is white women who voted about 52%, right, for Donald Trump. Uneducated white women, is my understanding. You have Latino men, actually, voting more for him. And you have, and black men was not the story. We're not the story here because they voted almost 80% for the vice president.
Right. Just because you didn't go to college doesn't mean you're stupid, and it doesn't mean that you don't have wisdom. You can go to college and get a bunch of irrelevant facts about how men can allegedly give
job than a debate. Forget facts or nuance. This was dramatic zooms, intense music, and arrogant swagger aimed at obliterating her entire worldview. The internet went wild. The video spread faster than a fake Kardashian headline, with viral titles like Sunny Hostin hit with reality brick. Twitter blew up, subreddits exploded, and reaction channels feasted like it was a rage buffet. The View, usually a haven of polished liberal talk, turned tense as Sunny Hostin.
What did it take for us to get to the point of an apology? We had to threaten a lawsuit, Jesse. And by the way, we're still entertaining it. We're talking to some of the best lawyers out there that are experts in this. And as you know, these things can be very complicated. There's a lot of facts and circumstances around it. But we're not going to let this go because you should not be able to smear 5,000 high school and college kids and then just be able to walk away with it. And the reason they felt they needed to do that, Jesse, is because if they told their audience the truth, that when gas is the most expensive it's been, flights are super expensive, that 5,000 kids decided to spend a weekend in summer traveling across the country to go hear from conservative speakers, maybe the audience of The View would think twice about all of their ideas. That's why they felt so compelled to try to smear our wonderful summit.
Hostin visibly unraveled. No shouting, no chaos. Just forced smiles, shaky control, and the slow crack in her composure. It wasn't dramatic. It was worse. Quiet, public unraveling. Meanwhile, Charlie Kirk, relaxed at home, basked in the viral glow. This wasn't about truth. It was about dominance. And that one clip? It crowned Sunny the face of on-air humiliation. Charlie didn't just challenge Sunny Hostin's argument. He attacked her whole persona. Polished, educated, and
myth that is rooted in bigotry, trying to classify people based on their skin color. If you are a racist, you have something to apologize for. If you're a white person who is not a racist, you have nothing to apologize for. And anyone who makes you apologize just based on the color of their skin, they're the racist and you're not.
Unshakable. That was the point. His signature move is to reduce complex figures into online targets, built for memes, not nuance. While Sunny was still forming her response, Kirk had already dropped viral clips, merch, and meme-worthy edits. This wasn't a debate. It was a digital ambush. And Sunny, caught in the storm of a louder, faster outrage machine. Sunny Hostin thought she was navigating a light debate, but Charlie Kirk turned it into a full-blown media storm. The View's team has handled walk-offs and on-air breakdowns before, but But this
Point conference, the were in the front of out there in front of the conference with anti-Semitic slurs, and
I think it's important that every single person that attended that turning point, every Republican speak up against the swastikas, against the flags that were waved.
You let them in.
President, open your
You
mouth.
let them in and you knew what they were.
This wasn't just awkward. It was an ambush. It never became a conversation. It was an all-out online siege, and the cameras caught every second. Her usual poise cracked. Subtle glances at the teleprompter, a fading voice, and a flicker of uncertainty revealed the collapse. Like a Jenga tower mid-fall, her control slipped, while Kirk, miles away, triggered a broadcast meltdown. Online, the backlash was instant. Reaction videos looped Sunny Hostin's discomfort. Conservative sites called it a cultural win, and Gen Z turned her...
The point I'll say is this, is Sunny, you guys thought that abortion was going to be this like quasi-zealot religious issue? I'm pro-life. If people in the audience aren't, that's fine. What I'm saying though, what gives me promise, and I think we can all agree on this, is that there are other issues that should animate and drive our politics other than this very divisive one. And I was really encouraged by that, Megan. Very encouraged, because the media was forcing this as an up or down vote on a referendum on a highly complicated, very emotional, very personal issue. And it turned out the American people were like, yeah, actually, these other 6 things matter more. And good for
expressions into meme material. Meanwhile, Charlie Kirk stood smug at the center, hailed as the face of new media overpowering the OLD.in today's content-driven politics. Optics rule over logic, and Kirk knows it. This wasn't a debate. It was meme warfare, and algorithms picked their side fast. Sunny wasn't defeated in discussion. She was overwhelmed by a digital assault dressed in edits, soundtracks, and viral smugness. Sunny Hostin's carefully...
Welcome back. You know, in Monday's conversation about Turning Point USA, I put the young people at the conference in the same category as the protesters outside. And I don't like it when people make assumptions about me. And it's not any better when I make assumptions about other people, which I did. So, my bad. I'm sorry.
Okay.
So,
the built image of intellect and confidence was shattered by a viral online attack. Not because her views were wrong, but because she appeared unprepared and vulnerable. A fatal flaw on today's TV. Charlie Kirk didn't win with logic, but with brutal online tactics that thrive on spectacle. Daytime TV, once safe with scripts and moderation, has become a digital battlefield. Sunny, caught off guard, offered no defense. Just a visible breakdown that turned her into a case study on the psychological toll of viral attacks. The whole moment played out like a dramatic film. Sudden defeat, rising anguish, and the harsh reality that the cameras never stopped rolling.
Nothing else to talk about. Maybe you should get the lawyer that worked on that Covington Catholic school case. What was that, a $200 million settlement? I think, Charlie, you could use the money, and your students definitely could too.
The saddest part? Sunny tried hard to stay composed. But when your public image becomes a joke, handling it gracefully live is nearly impossible. Meanwhile, Kirk celebrated with non-stop TikTok reels, Instagram clips, and press frenzy. Media coverage focused on every blink and expression, turning it into savage spectacle.
Look at your achievements. How do you like the so-called uneducated now, Sunny?
Yeah, and again, by the way, rarely do you get the answer to a question in the question. And her whole question is exactly why there was a rebellion against them.
Yes.
Listen, just because you didn't go to college doesn't mean you're stupid, and it doesn't mean that you don't have wisdom. I always differentiate between knowledge and wisdom. You can go to college and get a bunch of irrelevant facts about how men can allegedly give birth or whatever they teach. I mean, it's or about North African lesbian poetry. Okay, that's fine.
Rather than journalism. Kirk never even appeared. He won using online influence from afar. Sunny's breakdown wasn't just a bad day. It was a symbol of traditional media crumbling under TikTok sarcasm, Twitter trolls, and Gen Z's relentless eye-rolling. Debates used to be about strong arguments. Now it's about creating viral moments. If you become a 10-second meme with sad music, you've lost. No matter how—
Again, with a shocking apology just a short time ago from the ladies of The View to Turning Point USA. A war of words broke out after the conservative group was rallying the next generation of voters at its youth summit in Tampa, Florida this weekend. And the liberal panel just couldn't help themselves. The group sent a scathing cease and desist letter after hosts on The View suggested that Turning Point had embraced neo-Nazis who showed up outside the event.
How solid your points are. Charlie Kirk didn't bring facts. He unleashed a digital wrecking ball and didn't even show up in person. Meanwhile, Hostin was left stunned, realizing a polished resume offers no protection against memes. The leftist media is still unsure how to respond, stuck hoping common sense will win.
Event in Tampa, Florida called the Student Action Summit. Outside of the event were individuals waving flags and engaged in other activities. Well, on Monday's show, members of The View made a few comments about it.
The conservative group Turning Point USA has condemned the group of neo-Nazis and said they have nothing to do with the organization.
Yeah, but where was DeSantis is what I want to know.
But you let them in.
President, open your
You let them in and you knew what they were.
Right.
So you are complicit.
And here's the kicker. Liberal media—
while stuck in the past. But this isn't a courtroom. It's a circus. If your opponent shows up juggling fire and shouting through a megaphone while you bring facts and manners, guess who gets the spotlight? More damage was done to Hostin's reputation than to a politician's after a scandal. It wasn't about being right or wrong. Optics mattered. She appeared shaky and defeated, and in today's digital arena, seeming beaten is worse than actually losing. The internet runs on perception, and the perception was that she got steamrolled.